Hi everyone, today we'll be doing a pullover, a v-neck pullover, and the yarn we'll be using is this one. It's variegated and it has several shades. As you can see, there's some Prussian blue, some brown, grey, white, and it's a rather attractive looking multicolored yarn. And as you work it, it'll form all these different patches of different color. The composition is 60% wool, 25% alpaca, and 15% acrylic. It uses between 6 to 8 millimeter knitting needles or crochet hook. Now the pattern that we will be doing is going to be worked in two pieces. I've got about 7 balls of this yarn, which is about 50 grams. So I'm not very sure how much 50 grams, but as I've mentioned before, the length of the yarn is more important than its weight. This one says it gives about 90 meters, for 50 grams. So I'm not very sure whether I'll be able to work the sleeves in. So for the time being, I will work the back and the front, and then if I have enough yarn, I will also include the sleeve. But I will give you directions on the how, if you have, just in case you want to work the sleeve in, I will also give you the sleeve measurements. Now this particular pullover has got quite an interesting design, because what you do is that you work the right back and front and then the left back and front, and you join them like this with an opening here, which will form the neck with a shorter back joining and a longer front. So that means you join less when you join it. So you work it from the bottom up. Here you will do a ribbing for about 6 rows of knit 1, purl 1. The amount that you cast on is 11.5, and the maximum width of this that you're going to work is about 14 inches, you see. So because it's 11.5 and 14 inches, you can easily work this on either the round loom or the long loom, and the long loom that you can use can also be the shorter long loom, which is the 50 peg long loom. So you can use the 41 peg round loom or the long loom, which is 18 inches, that it can do. That one has got 50 pegs. So if you're going to use the round loom, you will cast on 26 pegs, and you will work them in knit 1, purl 1. You will do a ribbing for about 6 rows. So you do knit 1, purl 1, rib, and you work them for 6 rows. After that, you will work this in a straight bit with no increases for 5 inches. After that, you will, over 14.5 inches for the round loom, you will add on 6 pegs for the round loom and 7 pegs for the long loom. I've made a mistake here. I put 4 pegs. So it should be 6 pegs for the round loom, because it's 32 pegs. 14 inches will form 32 pegs for the round loom and 39 pegs for the long loom. So that's 7 pegs for the long loom and 6 pegs for the round loom. These 6 and 7 pegs are really, they're not that much of a big difference, So you do them over 14.5, and so I think for about every got to add up 6 pegs over 14.5. You can do them, I guess, every 2 inches like that. You can add on a peg to give you the increase, After you have reached the desired 14 inches and this part measures 19.5, you will, for 10 inches, work the 14 inch. Then you will decrease, reversing what you did earlier. That means if you have increased every 2 inches, then you decrease every 2 inches until you get back to the original length, that is 11.5, and you work off 5 inches. The whole length of this piece is 49. Now, after you have joined them, leaving this gap for the neck, I was thinking, because I wasn't very sure what I was going to do, because actually the pattern required you to do a V-neck. It requires a V-neck neckline, which you can do with knitting needles, circular knitting needles, and you can do the V-neck quite easily with circular knitting needles. But since I'm not going to be doing that, you see, because last time I did one pattern and I kind of liked the way that worked. You see, if you're going to do it with the circular knitting, it's usually the one where you do the slip one as if to knit and then knit two together and pass the slip stitch over thing that you do to get a V-neck when you do knitting. But I was thinking, see, last time I did this particular pullover, and this one doesn't have sleeves also, you see, but this one was done in a V, Now, I did a crochet neck, and then I put beads and sewed it down, so that it's got this kind of a V-neck here, I was thinking I wanted to do this same collar for this pullover that I'm going to be doing. We'll work that. I'll come back and I'll show you how to do this when we come to the end of the instructions on how to work this pullover. This one that I did, this is actually also alpaca, but there's far more alpaca in this wool. It is quite uncomfortable to wear, I might say, because alpaca, I think it's because of the hair content, it tends to even manage to poke through any undershirt that you use, so this one has got way more alpaca than this one. This one has got a lot less, less alpaca. So it wasn't that bad when I did the on the Serenity loom, the wrap that I did. That one, we was using similar composition, the alpaca, and it's very comfortable. I don't have any problems using that. It's not it doesn't itch, And the sleeve is a 9 by 15 inch here. The length of the sleeve, which will be added here, it will be connected to this. So what we will do is that we will work this, and as we go along, I will give you the instructions. I've decided to use the 36 peg orange loom, the 36 peg round loom. I suppose, some of you will have different colors on your loom, but this is the 36 peg one, and you should be able to do it, because the maximum that we're going to have to do is only 14 inches. But then, because the distance between the pegs, these pegs are actually a little, very infinitesimal almost, difference between this and the 41 peg loom. I just decided, in any case, I will add 2 pegs. So for 11.5, I will cast on 28 pegs, and for the 14, it will be 34 pegs. This loom has got 36 pegs. So if you want to work it on the 36 peg loom, you can also do it. Okay, when I was talking about this pattern earlier, I forgot to mention that the ribbing is at the bottom and also on the top. So now we'll start with the first part, where we're going to do the rib for 6 rows, and it's the first bit is 11.5. So we'll cast on. I'm using the 36 peg loom because it's big enough. It's not necessary for me to use the bigger loom, the 41 peg loom. Guys, I made a mistake. I was supposed to cast 28 pegs, when I started with the 36 peg loom. It's 28 pegs. Instead, I went and cast 26, you see, so I have to take everything off. So anyway, I just wanted to remind you, when you start this, my instructions in the beginning said 26 pegs. Disregard that. Do it 28 pegs. 28 pegs, and follow the instructions after that, So I'll put this in front because I've made a mistake, and it should be 28 pegs. And you increase it to 34 pegs for the 14 inches. So let's cast on 26 pegs. check this. So let's cast the first cast on row, okay? We're doing the E-wrap cast on, you know. I always find it easier to work it upside down. These pegs are a little closer than the 41 peg loom, you know. You can actually, you will notice it if you place them close to one another, or you place them on top of each other. You will see there's a slight difference, you know, on each peg, the gauge between the pegs. Of course, a little difference between one peg and another, you multiply it by 36 pegs, will give the effect of maybe a whole peg difference, you know, the size. It might look like it's very slight and it's not really significant, but if you multiply it by the number of pegs, the distance it will grow. I hope this pattern looks nice, you know, with this variegated yarn, because the variegated yarn will give a very staggered look to the colors, you see. So I'm hoping, because of the fact that you're actually, basically what you're doing, if you look at the pattern here, it's actually like two shawls, you know, that you're joining, because one part of it, of course, the shawl is not exactly a very linear or a straight looking shawl. It's got a slightly fat middle, you see, but effectively that is what it basically is, you know, taking two shawls together and then joining them up along the longer side. Okay, now that you have cast on, work, knit one, purl one rib for 6 rows. So we'll start off with a knit and then we will purl. Knit and then we will purl. Knit, then you purl. Now you do this until the end. Then when you come back, you continue, you knit the knit stitches. The one that you knit before, you continue to knit it, and the one that you did a purl, you purl it. So knit, purl, do that 6 rows, and then we'll come back. Okay, I've worked the rib, as you can see. The rib is 6 rows of knit 1, purl 1 rib. There, knit 1, purl 1 rib. Now we will do the twisted stocking net stitch, and when you reach 5 inches, you will begin to increase 1 stitch. Mine will be increased all the way for 6 pegs over 14.5. So every 2 inches or so you do one peg increase until we come here. Then you will do the twisted stocking net all the way up to here and then decrease. So let's do this part here until we get to 5. Okay, when we have reached 5 inches, we're supposed to start the increases. We have reached 5 inches. That's 5. Okay, so now initially when I told you earlier, because I was using the 36 peg loom, these were the these were the measurements I'm using. But if you're using the long loom, you would have actually cast on 32 pegs, you know, and you have to increase it to 39, which is 7 pegs. So now we will start with the first increase, and if you're using the long loom, you will increase 7 stitches. If you are using the round loom, I've decided to use a 36 peg loom, you will have to increase 6 stitches. So okay, I'll do the first one, and you do one every 2 inches. So the first one, now it's a good idea to always do the increases on one side. So we will do it on the side that is away from this side marker. Alright, so the first stitch we're doing, just add on a stitch like this, add on a stitch, that's the new stitch, and then you continue with your twisted stocking net. Now this is the first increase that you do one every 2 inches until you reach 34 pegs. I wanted to mention that since it's you're supposed to do the increases over 14.5 inches, I was looking at the calculation of the number of inches that you should go to when you want to do the increases. Since you're doing the first increase here at the 5-inch point and you have another 14.5 to go through, if you're only increasing 6 pegs, then do them over 3 inches, because you have 5 remaining pegs after you've increased the first one here. 5 divided by, that is about 15. So if you do them after every 3 inches, you should end the last increase at the 2.5 here, which is alright. But if you're doing the 7, then you should do it after every 2 inches. I think that makes more, because the whole idea behind the increases is to give a very gradual slope, you know. That's very important. You can't have it in a position where when you add the stitches, they don't gradually go up like this, you know. This is important, this slant, you know. You have to give that slant very gradual inclination as you go up. You know, I managed to come to the point where I'm supposed to do the last increase, so I just wanted to show you that you have to do the very last increase at the point where you're going to start the 10-inch straight bit, you know, where you don't do any increases, nothing. So we are at 19.5. Whether you can see 19.5 there. Okay, so we're doing the very last stitch increase that will bring up my pegs to 34. Since this is a 36 peg loom, so if I do my last increase here, it will become 34. So you do the increase, hang on, I always find it very difficult to do this from any angle that is other than the one that I am very comfortable with, you know. Okay, there, this is the very last increase. Now after this, you will be only working the straight bit here, you know, the 10-inch. Now don't be alarmed by if your knitted piece does not mirror this inclination here, you know, because this inclination, I drew it, it was an exaggeration, you know, I didn't really, because I wanted to establish that there is a slope. I should have actually drawn it slightly, you know, it's a very slight increase, you know, because it's only like 4 or no, how many pegs is it? 7 and 6 pegs. The most you'll be increasing is 7 pegs, you see. So it's like this really. It's a very slight increase, you know. It's not like this. So don't be worried if your knitted piece is not having that much of a, it doesn't show the increases so dramatically as my drawing does, you know. Now, after you've done the last stitch increase, you'll be going up 10 inches and then you will come back and do the decreases. Actually, this yarn, look at it, it's kind of nice, no? You know, you won't believe, she gave me 7 balls of this yarn for €12, which is amazing. I mean, that's why I bought it, even though there weren't enough. And I won't be able to, perhaps I'll only get a 3/4 sleeve, But it didn't matter because it was so cheap. And it's such nice yarn, really very, very soft and wonderful to wear. And since I've already had experience with this particular composition, and it was with my wrap, it looked very, really, really nice, and the feel was great, and it's warm, so you just wear something very thin inside, like a woolen undershirt, and you could wear the wrap on top of it, and you'd feel absolutely cozy in it, So that's why, for €12, 7 balls, 50 grams each, I thought, my goodness, what a steal, Even if I couldn't get enough to do a complete sweater with sleeves, this was already more than enough, and plus it's such an attractive looking piece, the coloring, the way it goes down. See, the color changes are so gradual and lovely. So anyway, we'll come back when we have to do the decreases. That is 19.5 plus 10. So that makes it altogether 29.5. So we will do the first decrease. A decrease is very simple. You just lift up the last peg and put it back here. Remember, it has to be away from this knob here, the knob at the side, so that you know that you're decreasing on the right side. 2, you carry one and put there, then you knit it off, both of it. Then you continue. Do this 6 times until you bring the stitches back to 28. Bring the stitches back to the original, which is 28. And don't forget, towards the end, make sure you do 6 rows of rib, which you did down here. 6 rows you do here before you cast off. Then repeat it for the other side, and if you want the ribbing to match, then you do the decrease and increases, the increase and decrease, on the opposite side. That means on the side where this is, you do the increase and decrease on this side, so that your ribbing will match on both fronts, because then you can turn it, and when you join them, the ribbing will match, because they would have started and finished, because this ribbing will be upside down when you finish it, because you'll be going in this direction, so it will not be the V of the ribbing. This ribbing, you see there is a V, right? So when you finish, it will be the other way. It will be in this direction, so the ribbing will be not going in the same direction. So if you place them side by side, one ribbing would go with the V in this direction, and the other one will go, the V will be in this direction. So if you want this ribbing to match, make sure that you change the direction in which you increase and decrease. Okay, what I meant to say when I was saying that you changed the direction was that because in this case, you went round and you did the increase and decrease from your, well, we'd say that it's on the right side of the stitches, that you did it. So when you do the other front and back, the other panel, this time you do the increases from here after this. So you will increase in this direction, and then you will come back and reduce it. So this way, what happens basically is that you would have done them on opposite sides, you see. And so when you place them side by side, they will not be exactly the same, and the ribbing will therefore not be reversed. It's just if you want to make the ribbing match, but that's really, up to you. If you don't mind the ribbing not matching the direction of the knit stitches, not actually mirroring the other side, they look exactly the same and therefore they look like they match, If you don't want that effect, then you don't have to do that. You can just do it exactly like you've done it here. That means you do the increases at the end and you increase it in this direction. The 2 pegs will be here. But if you want it, then the pegs will be here, somewhere here. After from here you count 6 pegs, you'll be adding 3 and 6. So there will be 2 pegs here that will be empty. Now, when you're doing the measurements for this long strip like this, because this is quite a long strip, it's 49 inches. And the problem with a long strip like this is that when you lay them down to measure, you will have a tendency to pull, especially something that is of a very short width here, as you can see, So when you measure, make sure that you do not pull it, because if you pull it, you will get a wrong measurement, So you lay them flat, you lay the knitted piece down flat without pulling it, and then you do the measurements. My rib is about 2 inches here. This rib down here is about 2 inches, So I'm going to stop at the 47th inch and then work back knit 1, purl 1, rib for 6 rows, and then cast off. That will finish my first panel, and then I will do the second panel and we'll come back. Okay, I have finished both the panels. Here they are. And when you join the 2 panels to each other, use a mattress stitch so that the join itself cannot be seen, We don't want an unsightly join, So don't try the crochet join, which I normally do, but use the mattress stitch join. I'll show you in a moment that one. Both pieces are 49 inches with their ribs, And I also forgot to mention, when you do the increases, make sure you mark them. Especially with a dark piece like this, you can't really tell where you've done the increases. Now, what I have left after I did all that is this amount of wool. This is like, I put it on the weighing scale on the kitchen, because the kitchen one can measure smaller amounts, And this one is about 60 grams. Now, if you are like me and do not have enough wool, what you need to do with this amount of wool is that you need to use about 30 grams and work 1 sleeve. That means, you see, you don't know how much you have, so you don't really know, you do know the weight, but you don't know how much it can work, you see. So what you do is, after taking the weight, you work with half the weight, 30 grams, and you get part of the sleeve, and then the other 30 for the other sleeve, And what you have, you try to work a sleeve that has some decreases so that, you use less wool as you decrease and shape the sleeve, you see. This way maybe you can have more mileage from what little wool you have. But unfortunately for me, I also have the neck to do, you see. After I join, I'm supposed to do that elaborate neckline that I showed you with all the beads and everything. So what we'll have to do is that I'll have to work the neckline first, because I don't want to use the wool and not have a neckline after I've done the sleeve. So we'll come back after we have done the neckline and everything, and then only we will do the sleeve. But as I work the sleeve, if I find that I can't really make a decent sleeve, I will, however, give you the instructions on how to do the sleeve. Yes, one other thing, when you're starting the join from here, make sure you measure, because this whole neckline is 10.5 inches. So you mark it off using a stitch indicator here and here, both sides, so that when you work the join, you stop at that point. Same thing here, you measure the 6 inches down and get it marked, so that you don't go beyond the point. Join, here at 20 inches and here at 18.5. Make them flat like this on the ground, and then this is the part, the back. You measure, here is the point where it's 20, and from here you measure and stop here for 18.5. So this is the neck. That's how you do the join. Okay, first you get a little bit of yarn. You don't know how much it is because you'll have to cut it off, you know, because you're going to use a needle. It's the one that you can thread your yarn through. Usually this needle comes with the loom, you know. It comes with the knitting, the tool and the needle. It comes in the pack. Okay, first things first. Right sides facing upwards. Make sure that you have, this is where the marking comes in, you know. The part where you have the markings, you know. See this? You have the markings, you place them together because they are not going to be sewn, you know. So you place them together. This is the part that is going to be sewn. So you place these together so that you don't get them mixed up, but they are not the side that you're going to be joining, because the join will be here in the center, not the part where you have done your increases, you know. As you can see, the increases are on the outer side. So what we will do is, this is why I told you earlier that you have to leave some form of stitch marker, you know, so that you know which is the side that you've worked the increases, because as I pointed out, the increases are very slight, you know. So if you do not mark them, you will not be able to tell them apart, especially on very dark material. So okay, now we will work the mattress stitch. Let's start. We will go through the, actually I should have left something that was long enough, but then whenever I leave a tail, it always ends up on the wrong side, you see. So I decided not to waste my wool this time, and I didn't do it. Alright, so you go through that, leave a bit of a tail so that you can weave it in later, however you wish to do it, you know. Either you weave it in or tie a dead knot, a surgeon's knot. That's what I do normally. Seems as if I'm coming down with the flu. Now go on this side. First few stitches you won't be able to see it, you know, the stitches that you're doing. Now you go across and you look for the hole, this one here. Then you go, you can leave it like this, you don't have to tighten it just yet, you know. Now you work this one. Now you look for the next piece. I know it's very dark, the thread, so it's going to be difficult for you to see the actual stitches. You go to the next one here. Okay, the stitches that you have to pick up are these, you know, these ones. These are the stitches that you pick up, the horizontal ones, you know. You pick those up, and that is the one that you sew. I picked this one, so now I come over this side and pick this one up. Then I go over here, I pick this one up. Oops, it's stuck on the other one. Okay, there. You pick that one. So you pick up, like I told you, what you need to pick up are these parts, you know. This one here. These are the stitches that you pick up. See, as you can see, they come together without a seam. So the next stitch that you pick up from here is this one, and then you go across and you pick up this one. Then you go across, you pick up this one. They are the horizontal ones. The ones in between the V's is what you're picking, you know. In between the stocking net stitches is what you're picking the thread from. See, as they work like that, you see, it creates an invisible seam. Can you see that? You can't see the seam anymore. It looks invisible. That's the whole idea, because yeah, quite a bit of it will go under, like, you know, you don't really have much of a choice because of the way that the stitching was done. You know, when you did the flat panel, the end stitches were not knitted, so the end stitches now have to go in because they cannot be shown. So you keep on picking these horizontal stitches and you work yourself up, work your way up. Next stitch, okay, see, can you see that? See, the reason you can tell there's a joint is only because of the color, otherwise it will be completely invisible, this seam. Now you work your way up. This is the part where the back is, you know, the back is completely joined. The front, you leave the rib part open. That means you don't join this part, you stop it somewhere here. Okay, just wanted to show you this part here. I worked up quite a bit first. This is where the join is. In fact, you can't really tell where the join is, right? This is where the join is actually. The back part is quite thick actually. You see that much of it, quite a lot of it is taken inside, you know. After I'd gone up quite a bit, I took out these stitches here again and redid them, you know, because I couldn't get the exact point at which to join until I did this part. So if you find that your rib point is not well done, you can take out these stitches and redo them. See, now, as you can see the seam all along there, you can't see where the seam is. Of course, behind it's quite thick. Okay, that cannot be helped because the horizontal stitches were quite inside, you know, for them to match up like this. You match up the stocking net, the twisted stocking net stitches, you know. That's what the whole idea of this mattress stitch is about. Alright? Okay, here it is, the join. See the split in front? This is the split I mentioned where you don't join the ribbed part, you know. And the neckline, okay, the opening, and the other join. Now, if not for the colors, it's practically invisible. If you look at that part there, can you actually tell where it's been joined? You can't, no? It's that good. That's the way the mattress stitch manages to make your seams invisible. Now, the part here, the shoulder part, comes all the way to 2/3 of your upper arm, you know. So I'm going to make my sleeve a little narrow, about 13 inches. Had it been underarm, I would have made it at least 15, you know. But I'm going to skimp since I've got so little thread left. So I have no choice really. So because of my measly amount of thread, I'm going to make a short sleeve, maybe up to my lower arm. I think maybe, how do you call, about here, around here, there, you know, pull it up a bit around there. That length will be my sleeve. You know, I mean, it all depends on how much I can stretch that 60 grams of wool after I have finished doing the neck. I took a little too much thread when I did the joining. See, this one's rather long, bit left over. See, this one's even longer. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to join it to the one that I'm going to use for the neck. This is how the collar is supposed to look. This was another piece that I'd done before with some of my alpaca and ordinary wool, and I did the collar like this. This is a single crochet collar. You start on one end, you go there, then you keep on going back and forth until you get about this much. Then you take some beads, then you sew down the collar so that it stays like that. So when you wear it, it will look like that. This one actually was a failed experiment. I was trying to do this V thing, you know. Didn't really work out very well. I had to bend the corners a bit. So it's a kind of a funny looking, funny shaped top. Anyway, so this is how the collar is supposed to look, okay? Okay, first of all, look for your split edge. The one where you join the rib and left it open here. That will be your front, you know. Look for it. I've got my long leftover thread from the join here, which I intend to use. I'm not going to waste any thread since I don't really actually have a lot. So one shall not waste. Waste not, want not. So I'm just going to do my usual magic knot, because that's the way I joined. And I secure it once more. This is like a dead knot now. It's never going to open. Okay. So we have got here. Now this is the front of the pullover, okay? Now you work one round of single crochet, one round first before you split it up, you know, so that you get your split collar. First round you do, I'm not very sure which one I'll need. I think this is too small. Okay, here we pick up, go through the first chain, pick this up, do a single crochet, then we move to the next one, single crochet, then the next stitch, single crochet, and the next stitch after that, single crochet. Now work your way around and come back. Okay, we've reached the other side. I took out the stitch markers for the back. The back was here, you know. Anyway, there is this thread that is still there, so you know where the back is. Now this is the row of single crochet. As you can see, it's not puckering up the neckline, so it should be okay. Now we reach here. This is where the beginning is. Here's what you do. You work the last few remaining through both chains, like I told you. See, there's a chain here, right? Work through both strands. Now this will be the only round that where you will be joining the ends. After this, you will work them as like a flat panel that you work for your knitting. You will work this the same way. This is the only time you will join this. Alright, now this is the only time. After that, when you come back round here, when you come back here, you go back, you turn the crochet around I'll show you when we come back there. So we have come to the end of the thing where we are at the point where we started, you know. This is the only round that you will do, you know. This is so that you can clearly get a finish, you know, otherwise it will roll in, you know. So we're getting only this one row done for that. After that, we will not be doing it round and round because this is not a circular collar, you know, it's a split collar. So now we have come up to this point, and when we come back here again, we will split the collar. I'll show you now. We continue with this particular stitch. This will be the first round of your split collar. When we come back here, we will split it and go back again. I'll show you when we come to the other side again. Okay, now we're back to this side. Now we're almost coming to the center. This is the center. You have to keep the center in mind. This is the absolute center. This is where you have to do the split. Okay. So we do the last couple of single crochets. Let me keep an eye on this. Okay, this is the last one. Alright. Now here, this stitch here, the center stitch on the where you have the join, you leave out. Don't do anything with it, you know. Or shall we work that one? Oh no, there's one more stitch, sorry. This is the center stitch on the other side. Okay, so we work this one. Okay, now this is the direction of the crochet. Now you chain one and then you turn the work. You turn the crochet the other way around. So now we are going back. It's like working a single planner. And you work the single crochets back and then you will come here. This is how you work the split collar. Work it for about this much, about 2-3 rows more. So now we are here after you did the turn, and then you do the single crochet back into the one that you just finished. Okay, that's how you're working the split collar. Now we're coming to the other side. This was the side that you worked just now here, and you went round, and you're now coming to this side. This is the center. Okay, now when you come here, you do the same thing. You turn and go back. You don't complete the circle. You do chain one and then you turn and you go back. Last one here, and you chain one, then you turn the work around again, so that now the right side faces you. Earlier it was the wrong side that was facing you. And you go back. Right? Now as you work, the side here will slope, but because you're missing the first one, you know, you're not doing the first one, you're doing the next one, you see? Like here. After I turned, this was the turn, I didn't work this one, you know, this immediate one. I worked the next one so that there will be a slope in the collar. Okay, you keep doing that. Both sides you do that. Now you work back again and go back there. Finish this. I think it's about 6 rows. So you have to put a bead or something so that you can push it down and it will stay, you know. Just like this one. This one has a bead, you know. Beads to hold it down. You don't have to put so many. You can just put one. I've got some collection of beads here. Actually these Prussian colored ones are nice, you know. These are nice. I could use these, but then I don't have to. The whole problem is I don't have to. The other one's green. Well, I have these. This is also okay. They're actually Prussian blue, you know. Somewhat similar to that one of the shades on the variegated yarn that I have. I've got 2 of these. So these should be good. I could use these. This one I don't have enough. Then I've got a whole bunch of beads here also. These are quite nice, but they don't really go with the color. My little collection. There's some black beads. These are also quite nice. You can put also black beads if you want. These are also nice, and then I don't think they really go. I always wanted to use these, you know. Never got around to it. That black one. This black one. This one. This is like mother of pearl, you know. They're kind of cute actually. I've got these beads. There's a collection of colors here. Don't know whether any of these really match. Not really. This one? No. That leaves only these. Well, anyway, one of them should go, like, you know. Let's see how it goes, and then we will try and put something on there. For the sleeve, I'm thinking of using this particular loom to make the sleeve. And I think, you see, because this loom can go in my arm, you know, all the way up to my shoulder. In fact, you know, it can go. So if I were to make a sleeve with it, I'll be able to use it, you see. Because as you can see, the thing can go right over. So this should be a good measurement for the sleeve. What I will do is I will join up the sides and everything, and then I leave an opening for the sleeve. Okay, to hook back the sleeve onto this loom is 31 pegs. This is about 7 inches the gap. Now the important thing to do is that, you see this? Each of these, make sure you take out the outer one, you know. If you were to hook this part onto the loom, this outer part will form a ridge on the right side of the garment, which you can't have. So you may not have enough, you know, so try to adjust as you go along. I found earlier when I did the other sleeve, I didn't have enough, so I had to pull one thread from inside just so that I could hook this outer, always the outer one. See, this is the part I mean. This will come out like this, you know, on the outside of it. You mustn't allow that to do that. And this is the right side. The right side should come out from this part of the loom. The right side should come out from this part of the loom. See, what I mean is that here, see, it doesn't have any ridging, you know, as you can see, because I pulled the right thread and put it in, you know, so you don't have any kind of ridging going through. It's a smooth transition. I just pulled one from there, so that I can have that extra. I just pulled an extra thread there, so that I can have all the loops put on. Can't pull that one. There. Okay, I pulled a double loop there. So all the pegs have been accounted for. Now all you need to do is you make an adjustable knot. And then you just put it here and you work your twisted stocking neck. Just e-wrap it and knit normally. Go round and round. Then when you reach towards the length that you desire, because of course mine, I don't have enough yarn, but if you have enough yarn, you go ahead and work how much you want the length to be, and don't forget to add a rib stitch like I did here. There's a rib stitch here at the end of the sleeve, Right, sorry, that's not the sleeve now. There, this is the sleeve. Okay, at the end of it, don't forget to add this ribbing in, so that the sleeve doesn't curl. The one I was talking to you about, you see all along you can see a ridge forming. It's very important that this ridge is in the inner part, that means on the wrong side of the garment. When you hook back the stitches, make sure that this thing is inside. If it is on the outside, even if one stitch is on the outside, it will be noticeable. You see, take it out and do it again. If you make a mistake, make sure you have all this unsightly ridge inside, that is on the wrong side. The right side should come out on this side of the loom, so that you can work it. Okay, I discovered that I was overzealous in my limiting my first cuff, the one that I did earlier for the other sleeve. I found out that I had actually, I could have done a bit more. So what I intend to do is, I don't intend to take it out and do it all over again, especially since I've cut this off already. What I intend to do instead is to add, I always meant to teach this, how to add a crochet rib. There is a method of doing where you can add a crochet rib, so I'm going to show it to you here. This is very useful if you've got something you've already finished and you want to add a ribbing to it. This is a technique that you can use. I think it's called a mock rib, the one that the crochet rib, that you add on. I'm not very sure. They call it a crochet rib for cuffs, they call it crochet ribbing. Sometimes people do it for hats and all that. So it's something very, very useful for you to know, and especially when you've got limited amount of yarn left, and I'm not about to go and throw it away and waste it, you see. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to extend the cuff. You see, this is the amount that I've worked, and I'm going to extend it a bit more so that I can work a bigger sleeve in, I've been meaning to teach this technique in previously, where I've talked about adding a crochet rib to an already finished piece, you see, and I never got around to doing it, you see. So this time round, I'm going to show you how to do this. Of course, if you don't really have deficiency of yarn, which I seem to be suffering from always because of my frugal means, I'm always trying to save money, you see, so I always end up with less yarn than I need. And so let's finish this first. I finish taking this off the loom. This is the loom that I used, the 31 peg loom, to do the sleeve. Now first of all, of course, you've got to secure the end. Let's do that first with a slip stitch. Okay, so now it's secured. All right, now this part here, you see, when you look at the work, you see this is the valley, this is the hill. You see, this is the part that's up, it stands up, the knit stitches, and these are the purl stitches, the ones that go inward, you know. That's how knit, purl, knit, purl. So you want to start with the purl part, you know. You want, because it'll go down, indentation. So firstly, what you need to do is, you need to discover, let's say I'm going to make about four chain, you know. So if you want to do a 4 chain, you got to chain 5. Okay, so first you start with chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm using a 7mm crochet hook from Pro Knit or Knit Pro. I don't remember which one is the name. Now look at this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip the first chain, go into the next one. It's a bit difficult to work because there's nothing to hold on to. Do a single crochet. It's very flimsy, you know, because there's nothing there, you know. It's not attached to anything, but it will be soon enough. And then only the first row is a bit cumbersome to work, you know. But after that, you shouldn't have any problems. Continue doing a single crochet until you reach all the 4 stitches. So now you've worked, and you've got, this one will curl a bit because it's the first one, you know. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now what you do is, here, look at this. Now you notice this. This is where the stitch is coming out from. There's the next one and the next one. Now each one has a chain, the part where you cast off. Make sure you go through both the stitches of the chain. Both the strands. So you've got one on the hook. Continue, yarn over, pick up 1, go to the next hole that you see, and yarn over, pick up that one. Now yarn over and go through all 3 loops. Alright, now this secures it to whatever base you're working on. So it could be the hem of a sweater or a brim of a hat, whatever you're working on. To add a ribbing to it, this is how you do it, okay? So now you've secured it to that part. Now turn the work. If you want, you can turn the whole sweater. Now, no need to chain or anything because you've already done the foundation. Now go into the back loop. Now it's very, very important that you only work the back loops. So do a single crochet into the back loop. 2, you should get 4. Always remember how many you initially wanted. Don't shortchange your stitches. And work into the back loop here. Back loop, single crochet. Now you chain 1 and you turn it again. Alright. Make sure this time you're not skipping anything. It's 1, 2, 3 and 4. You have to look for all 4 of them. Back loop again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now this will hide, you know, because it's a bit difficult to find it. There it is. Now 4. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now again do the same thing what you did to get earlier to secure this. Now this was the last stitch that you did earlier. Now go to the next one, pick up a loop, go to the next one, pick up a loop. Now yarn over and pull through all 3. Turn your work, go back again, doing 4 single crochets. 1 back loop only, 2, 3 and 4. There seems to be a shadow over the work, so I thought I'd better show you how to do this all over again. I've also taken it out and decided to make it a bit longer, you know. So I'm actually doing 5 single crochets now. Now the important thing for you to do is to work into the back loop, you know, this loop here. See, hang on, this is 1, this is 2, this is the loop that you have to go through, this one here. Okay, so this was chain 1. After I finish was a chain 1. Now I turn the work. Okay, now turn the work. Okay, now let's show you the back loop. Go in, do a single crochet in the back loop. Do a single crochet in the back loop. Single crochet in the back loop. Single crochet in the back loop. Now the last one is always a bit difficult for you to get. Now, so use this part of the crochet needle, pull it out a bit like that, and then you can work it. Because the last one is always a bit difficult because it's hiding inside there. Now here, this was the one you came out from here. Go to the next one, pick up a strand, pick up another one. Now you've got 3 on the loop, on the knitting, sorry, on the crochet hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3. Turn the work. Back loop. Single crochet. Back loop. Single crochet. 3, 4, and 5. Chain 1, turn, again back loop. See, this is the front, this is your back loop. This is the front, this is your back loop. On doing the back loop. Again, this one is difficult to get. Use that part of the crochet needle, pull the strand and crochet it, then go into the next one. After that, pick up a yarn over, another one, pick it up and go through all 3. Okay, so far I think it looks quite nice. Okay, have a look at it. As you can see, the ribbing actually matches. It's in the same line. I had to take it out until I got the thing to match up, you know. So you just finish up. This is actually just additional technique I'm just teaching, you know. It's not really necessary for you to do this when you're doing your loom knitting, but it's a very useful technique, you know, because you can use it for anything that you find that you want to add a ribbing after you have finished the project, you know, and it'll be difficult for you to put it back onto the knitting needles. This is a very good method of doing it, you see, and it just makes it a bit longer. Last part, I just used a slip stitch and attached it to the end, so, and I completed the cuff. I personally think it's rather nice. It gives a little definition to the sleeve, you know. I think it makes it look quite pretty. The sleeve looks a bit ruffled now, you know, as if it's got ruffles, you know, as a result of the extra crochet rib that I did. Kind of attractive, is it? Because it has got a 3-face sleeve, so to speak.